Good morning, everybody. It's 11 a.m. on Easter Saturday, and you are here on my gardening clinic. The sun is shining, the skies are brilliant blue, and there's not a cloud in the sky. It's a gorgeous day to do some gardening, or literally just open the windows and doors of your house and let the air through. What better than just to sit here for the next 45 minutes to talk about everything really gardening. Good morning, Alice. Lovely to see you there. 2 little Easter chicks that she sent through. Thank you very much indeed, Alice. Well, you've been sending me all of your questions, which is absolutely brilliant. And hopefully I want to answer most of them today. If not, then I'll hang them on. And next week, good morning, Donna, as well. If not failing that, I will make them into short videos, which I'll be sharing throughout the week. Sometimes it's just a little bit easier to show things rather than it is to try and explain things. And you actually learn, I think, a little bit better when you can actually see it being done. So let's get first of all to the first question. So the first question came in and it says, my hands are in bits from all the garden manual work and general hand washing courtesy of COVID-19. Can you recommend a good, lasting, effective hand cream? My hands look like chicken skin and feeling pretty raw. Oh, dear me. Yes, there are several. If you just look online and just do a search for gardener's hand cream, there's a particular make and it is absolutely brilliant. It really nourishes the skin and makes them feel really, really lovely. Obviously, there's still traditional, good old things like E45 work absolutely wonderful, but also why not make your own hand cream? Now, I know it sounds a little bit daunting, but we've all got the time on our hands, and we could actually start doing this now if we use dried products, but also we can do it a little bit later during the summer when we can actually dry our products. So what do I mean by creating our own hand cream? Well, the easiest one and probably the best known one is calendula salve. Now, calendula is brilliant for nourishing the skin and actually stimulating the blood vessels around any wounds, cuts, or abrasions that you have on your hands. And the best way to do it is you need to dry off some calendula leaves. These are the wonderful white flowers with a brown center. Now, if you're going to keep looking at my left, which is probably your right, because I've got a lovely ingredients list here just to put it all together. So you need some dried calendula leaves. You'll need some oil for infusing those flowers. And you can use olive oil, you can use coconut oil, or you could use sweet almond oil. And of course, almond oil is also really good for the hands. You need some beeswax and some essential oils if you want to add them in at the last moment. And then, so the first thing you need to do is you need to infuse the calendula flowers. Now, all you do is you just take all of your chopped up calendula flowers and then drop them into your oil of choice and leave them to infuse for as long as possible. Just get all that goodness from all of the flowers into that oil. Then once you've done that, you then strain that oil through something like cheesecloth and a strainer, just to get rid of all the bits and just to leave that pure oil just soaked in calendula. You then put the infused oil into a double boiler, i.e., one big saucepan and then another saucepan on the top. One below has boiling water and one on the top doesn't. That's where you put your oil into. And then add in about an inch or two to water to the bottle and then just let it start to simmer. Then you add some beeswax. Now, beeswax you can buy online. You can buy it in a bar. You can buy it in sort of crumbed form. Just add that in as well. And then it will gradually melt down with that calendula oil. And you'll start to see it really mold together. And then at that point, you can start adding any essential oils you like lavender oil, for example. Lavender oil is brilliant again for the skin. Then you just carefully pour the contents into some jars or into some really nice little tins that you might want to keep them in. and then leave them to one side. Let them cool down completely, and they'll change colour. They'll go from that sort of transparent oil right down to the sort of creamy effect that you'd have on normal hand lotions. And it works brilliantly. You just need a tiny amount on your hands, rub it in, and it will last for ages. So as I say, you can do it with your own homegrown calendula flowers, chop them up, dry them off a little bit, and then do it that way. Or you can do it by just buying some dried calendula flowers online. With lavender, lavender's a beautiful hand cream. Do exactly the same way, infuse it in the oil of your choice, then strain it, add it to the beeswax, melt it all down, let them join together. Then you can add in any of your essential oils and then pour them into your container of choice and leave them to cool. And then you've got your own personal product just for you. And then that way you can actually just make things the way that you want. And a great way of actually sort of breaking down those flowers is by using something like a mortar and pestle. Just literally grind them down, grind them down to they're in tiny, tiny bits, and you're releasing all those wonderful oils actually within the plants itself. Donna said, fab, thanks, just planted up calendula seeds. Perfect, Donna, just wait for them to grow. Then you can use sort of flowers as they start to go over, use those, save them up, put them into like a plastic bag until you're ready. You've got a nice big bundle of them. You probably want to aim for around about something like 25 to 50 grams worth of chopped up calendula or mortared, pestle and mortared calendula flowers to around about 25 grams to 50 grams of beeswax. By doing that two together, you'll get a lovely amount that you can then use on your hands, and they will feel fabulous. Another top tip is if you garden in gloves, or you may use latex gloves or whatever it might be when you do gardening, if you actually smother your hands with hand lotion of any type, then put on these latex gloves, that's actually a brilliant way of getting that right into the skin, because there's nowhere else for it to go. It will literally just go right into your skin, and your hands will feel wonderful after it. So even though, as we all know, it's really good to get your hands in the soil, release that serotonin in the brain, make you feel happy, make you feel good, by just sometimes thinking to yourself, well, I want to look after my hands today, then just slather on your hand lotion, put on your latex gloves, go out there, do your normal gardening. When you take off your gloves, your hands will be as soft as a baby's bottom. So nothing better than that. So hopefully that answers that question. Hopefully you can then also send me some pictures of you making your own hand lotion. That would be lovely to see as well. It is fairly simple to do. You'll probably need to do it a few times just to get the knack of it, but you could make it from absolutely anything. What about a lovely mint one? That's just come to my mind. A lovely mint hand salve. That'd be gorgeous. Really refreshing, really stimulating on the skin. I could imagine that one. I might have to go that myself as well. So anyway, now on to some more questions. Someone's asked about something about hebes. They've flowered all winter. They're quite big. They've got brown streaked leaves now, and they're not looking particularly good. How much should I cut them back, and is this a good time? Hebes, or shrubby veronicas, as they're also known, are really versatile plants. They flower during the winter, the spring, the summer, and the autumn. They're great in a border, great in a container. And they also come in various sizes and with different coloured flowers, from white to lilac to really deep purpley blues. The leaves are also different coloured greens, and some of them are also variegated. They also give year-round interest, really, and like many plants that flower in the winter or spring, pruning should be done after flowering. If I first answer, hopefully, the brown marks, without photos, it's a little bit difficult to know what it is you're actually showing or telling me, but there could be a number of reasons. It could be extreme differences in temperature. It could be drastic weather change. It could be water problems. Are you watering it too much? Or you're not watering it enough? Have you put too much fertilizer on? That's sometimes a real problem that people do. They think, oh, adding a bit more fertilizer will do it good. Not always the case. Follow the packaging and sprinkle on or dig in what it says on the tin or in the package. But it also could be down to pests and diseases. And there is something known as Septoria leaf spot. And this causes small brown marks on the leaves. There's no immediate effect to the plant, but if it's left to its own devices, it can spread and it will reduce the vigor of the plant and cause it to grow quite leggy. So the best way to do it is obviously, as you would do with any type of shrub, is to cut out anything that's affected, remove and destroy those leaves separately, be really, really mindful of any dropped leaves, pick them all up around the shrubs, really make sure the soil is clear from them. And then you might also notice when you're sort of cutting down and removing some of these brown leaves that there might be young green leaves actually appearing within it. The brown leaves obviously won't do anything, but you want to aim for those green leaves. But if it goes right the way back, then chop it right the way back. It might leave a hole, but in time that should fill up. Hebes also come under the RHS pruning group 9. And I'd stress anyone when it comes to pruning that actually just checking the RHS classifications for pruning is a really great way to really get to know when and how you should be doing stuff. So because yours have actually flowered during the autumn and winter time, time to do it is obviously springtime. If you prune in the autumn and the winter, it could potentially damage the plant as the sort of balance between root and shoot ratio just doesn't work, sort of interrupted it. And also when it's too cold, it won't regrow. So the best time is to prune after flowering. So now is a good time to do it. The plant really needs renovating, or it needs to be severely reduced. And this can be done in late winter and early spring as well, just before growth begins. Remove all the old flowers, deadhead them all, and cut back all the healthy branches down to an outward-facing bud. Then you want to sort of open structure with your shrubs so that air can still go through them. Like anything else, remove the 4 Ds, dead, diseased, damaged, or decaying. Remove all of those, and the old wood remove right back to the ground. And any sort of straggly growth that just looks a bit wispy and not really doing much, cut that back as well. Take out the stems and branches to improve congestion, and as I say, to balance that plant and let the air through. To really rejuvenate an established Hebe, once all the signs of frost have completely gone from your area, so probably mid-springtime, lightly prune the whole shrub to encourage buds to break further down the stem. Thin out crowded shoots, again we're trying to let more air through, and any badly positioned sort of stems and ones that might spoil the shrub's appearance. Good morning, Penny, to you as well, with a lovely bee picture. Then later in the summer, you can prune a little bit harder into the plant to create the desired size and shape that you actually want. But remember that flowers appear on previous or current year's growth. So if you are cutting back like that, you may lose flowers for the following year, but just to be mindful of it. But at least that way, you're keeping your Hebe in a nice shape and in really good health. And then, of course, after renovating or renovation or pruning, make sure you feed and mulch your shrub. You can use anything like fish blood and bone, grow more, a slow release fertilizer, fork it into the soil. Again, follow the package, don't add too much, sprinkle it around, and then mulch it. Don't go right up to the stem of or my trunk of the shrub, leave a circle around about that much around it, clear, and then mulch everything else around. That way all the roots and everything else will be nice and warm, and your plant will absolutely love it. So I hope that's helped with regards to pruning. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of different Hebes out there. Find the best one that you really, really like. They are really good plants for your gardens, and they're brilliant to also in containers. And I'm going to go on to containers in a moment because someone's been asking about compost. So I'll be sharing what it is, what you need to use in different ways throughout the whole gardening process. The next question, it's a little bit more specific for probably a smaller number of you, but it's always good to learn new things. And they've asked, I have a 3-year-old grapevine, which they're trying to train in the Guillot style, but have so many buds from the base. What should do? Last year it was totally rampant. So the Guillot pruning system is named after a 19th century man called Jules Guillot, who loved his wine and loved growing grapevines. It's used for grapevines grown mainly for dessert grapes and outdoors. And this system is sort of similar in a way to espaliering fruit trees. You actually are training 2 fruiting arms along some cane, or the canes, along a main wire. Now, it is commonly used on commercial vineyards, but it can be easily adapted to the home gardener. But it is a little bit difficult just to get your head around it. But once you've done it a few times, then it sort of comes second nature, as anything does in gardening. So the time really to prune is November and December, which you've probably been doing because obviously, as you said, it's a 3-year-old grapevine and you had really good grapes last year. You obviously remove the horizontal arms and fruited in the summer. You then tie down 1 vertical shoot along the lowest wire for a single Guillot and 2 shoots along the lowest wire for a double Guillot, i.e. 1 going left and 1 going right. So you have the main stem coming up, then 2 going like this horizontally each way. You then cut them back to about 60 to 90 centimeters, i.e. 2 to 3 foot long, and then you cut the remaining central shoot back to 2 or 3 strong buds. And the reason for doing that is that these will produce the stems for next year. Those will be the ones that you will then tie down. Pinching out new shoots and thinning fruit is also done during the spring and summer. And with vineyards, like again with shrubs and lots of other plants, you really want good air circulation. So you want to make sure that there's nothing else around it sort of blocking it. You've got enough sunlight getting to it, there's good airflow to it. So in year 3, which you are now in, as you say, you've got a 3-year-old grapevine, the side shoot will grow along those 2 horizontal canes. Train them vertically and tie them to a middle wire. Tie up and stop them nipping out the growing tip an inch or 2 beyond the tie. These side shoots will carry the first crop of grapes. Meanwhile, allow 2 or 3 shoots to grow up from the main stem through the center of the plant, which you need to tie in to the cane to provide stems that will carry the next year's crop. Once the first fruit starts to swell, you use the top wire of your support to drape bird netting over the plant for protection. From then on, you just repeat step 3, and then the strongest vertical stems along the bottom wire, and you're ready to start afresh. It's a little bit difficult without photos to really know what's happening and where these buds are appearing. But if you've got a lot of buds really low down, then I would recommend removing most of them but 3, because it'll be those 3 buds that you'll use for this year and then the following year, because those ones will go up. Once your other ones have fruited for this year, you cut them off, those new ones will be formed. So get rid of as many as you possibly can and leave 3 buds down below. If you had lots of fruits last year, you're obviously doing something right because you did it well in year 1 and 2. So just don't panic. If there are lots of buds there, as I say, just remove them all apart from 3 and just do what you've been doing, because you obviously are getting results. And of course, grapes are lovely to be grown at home. And you don't have to grow them like that. You can just grow them up the side of a house in a nice sunny position, along a pergola or whatever. Or you can even grow them like Monty does, where the root is outside and they grow inside a greenhouse. Either way, they're really delicious, and what's better than going out there and picking your own grapes? It's really lovely. Where we used to live, somewhere else in Kent, we had our own little grapevine up the side of our barn, and it was lovely, really beautiful green, delicious grapes. I then had to query another one, which is to say, how do I take hydrangea cuttings? Well, obviously, now's not the best time to do it because your hydrangea hasn't yet really set off its new shoots and isn't growing really well for this year. You may be starting to see the leaves appearing, but not much else. So you need to wait until late summer, really, to do your pruning. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, no, I can hear the songbirds as well. Sorry, David. Yeah, and Paul the parakeet. His parakeet is loving the songbird song. Lovely to hear. Thank you very much, David. There's one thing, we are blessed here. We have lots of birds. We've got some very large hedges around us, and they're always full of nests. And of course, we've got our bird boxes up as well. So there's plenty of birds in this garden, which we love. So back to the hydrangeas. Hydrangea cutters. Do them in late summer once the hydrangea is actually growing. You want to fill a pot, a deep pot, with a 50-50 mix of a peat-free compost. Multi-purpose compost is absolutely fine. 50 of that and 50 of perlite or horticultural grit. You want to aim for something that's really quite free draining. Anything with cuttings, you want something that's really good free draining. You don't really want water to stagnate and just sit there because that will just rot off those cuttings. You then look for a healthy non-flowering shoot, and you want something that's around about 15 centimeters long, and ideally something that's got 3 sort of leaf buds on it. You then trim off your bottom leaves and off those 2 bottom lower nodes, and then make a clean cut just below the bottom node. And that is where all your new roots will actually be coming from. If the leaves are left on that little plantlet you just cut off are really large, then you can remove some of them, or you can just cut them in half, and that helps with transpiration, i.e. water loss the leaves coming throughout the leaves. So just by reducing that slightly, you're putting less stress on the plant, and it allows the power and the stress of the plant to go into the roots. Then with a dibber or a pencil, just make a hole around the edge of your pot. Pop it down as far as you possibly can, really as much as possible. Then you water it well and put it somewhere sort of shady, non-indirect sunlight, and you just want to keep that soil moist and damp. Now, can take 8 weeks to actually start rooting, so be a little bit patient with them. But just keep checking the plant. If the soil in the pot is really still quite moist, check that by sticking your finger in, and if it's down to sort of a still warm, still soil, then it's fine. You can just mist spray the leaves. That will just help the plant, and you could just spray the surface as well. You can put it out in your garden, and you've got your free plants. What better than that? So Phil, thank you very much, because I think that is good. He's now very, which is good. So on to the next one, which is about understanding composts. This is really going back to basics, but the question was understanding composts, ratios of grit/perlite to use sowing plants in. I'm so confused before I even start. The very basics would be very helpful. Yeah, I can understand that. It can be difficult. So I just also noticed on Phil's, he said he's scribbling furiously to make sure he's got all the notes for the cutting of the hydrangeas. Phil, all I say is if you missed anything, just let me know, and I can always send you an email or a quick response just to back to composts. So there are soil-based composts, and there are multi-purpose composts, which are normally made from recycled materials like wood pulp, bark chippings, moss, all different types of things. Unfortunately, on a lot of the multi-purpose stuff, it doesn't actually say what's in them. But so sometimes it's just having a trial of different you like. There's also wonderful composts that are made from sheep's wool, and they are brilliant as well. They hold on to moisture and do really, really well. And a lot of, when you go to a garden centre or a nursery, you'll probably find that they're all laid out, and some will say specifically for seeds, some for pots, some for the plants, some for the garden. Some of them are for acid-loving plants. So I can understand it can be confusing. So just initially step back and think, okay, there's soil-based and there's multi-purpose. That's the first two things to think about. What I will say is please, please, please avoid any multi-purpose compost or any composts, peat or pure peat. We want to stop using peat in our composts. We must do it. We must save our natural habitats. Peat has an effect on climate, on our own biodiversity, on absolutely everything really in the natural world within the UK. So please, please avoid using peat wherever you can. And when it comes to sowing, growing on and some planting out, there are different types of soil-based compost. For this, you really need to look for John Innes, and you want to look for John Innes number 1, John Innes 2, and John Innes number 3. Now, what that means is this, very, very simply, is that John Innes number 1 is specifically for seed sowing. It's had some great added into it. It's draining. It's perfect seed sowing. It's quite crumbly. It's lovely. It's really lovely texture. John Innes number 2 is very simple. It's the next step on from gardening. So you've grown your seeds. You're then pricking them out. You're moving them onto another pot. You use John Innes number 2. It's got a bit more nutrients in it. It's going to feed that plant. Your plant will get bigger, ready to go outside into the garden. Then John Innes number 3 for permanent pot displays, or you can use homemade compost is also great. You can use as well in your garden. Homemade compost sometimes isn't always great for seed sowing, pure because you have to get really high temperatures within your own homemade compost to kill off all of those seeds. So it's not always ideal. So I would always recommend going for soil-based seed compost. But of course, there are multi-purpose composts which have also been designed specifically for seeds. As I said, there is a wool one as well, which has been specifically made for seed. So just look at the packaging, read what it says, and it should be okay. Then when you come to use, excuse me, when you then come to use purpose compost, obviously recycled materials in there of bark chipping, moss, of anything really I can put in there. It can sometimes be a bit sort of clumpy and not very fine. So because with seeds you want to free drain the soil, you want to add in perlite or horticultural grit. And I would always recommend going for a 50-50 split, 50% of the multi-purpose compost, 50% of horticultural grit or perlite to drain through very, very freely, but it also allows little air pockets within it. And air is important for seedlings and for root development. So don't always think that you've got to really get rid of all the air in the soil. Air is as important as water. And that way, your goodness, you get all the nutrients that plant actually needs. So it need seed. As I say, compost can be used straight from the bag for pot displays, but again, remember, if you've got a pot display, so you're using a nice liquid, not some bedding in it, make sure you've got a really good layer of drainage at the bottom. And you can use crocks, i.e. broken up sort of terracotta pots or any type of pot really. You could use polystyrene at the bottom, you can use bottom, around about sort of 3 to 5 centimeters of that material at the bottom to allow multi-purpose compost can go on the top, or John Innes number 3 can go on the top. And then if it's going to be a large display and the stuff is going to be in there for a while, and especially if you're going to be putting in things like shrubs or a small tree, then ideally you want to add some kind of feed. The seed compost need feed in their early years. That feed within compost will only last for a few weeks. So add in some slow release fertilizer. That feed within the compost has sort of all been soaked through and has all disappeared. You've still got your slow release fertilizer in there. You can use the slow release fertilizer pellets. You can just push them in, leave them in the top, and as they water, they start to dissolve and go through into the soil. You can use Growmore. Just look for a really, there are so many on the market now, just look for a really good one and just add it into the soil. Of course, there are also foliar feeds that you can use. I always ready to improve your soil and make the soil the best you possibly can. That plants will be happier for it. Then, of course, people ask, well, I want to grow something like azaleas, or I want to grow blueberries. Well, for things like that, you need ericaceous soil. So ericaceous soil is for acid-loving plants. Blueberries, azaleas, even sweet corn, holly, raspberry, camellias, and even daffodils. If you grow them in ericaceous compost, it's exactly what they need, and they'll be really, really happy for it. You can also buy ericaceous plant feed as well. So by having ericaceous soil and ericaceous plant feed for your acid-loving plants, they will be really, really happy. Now, the main reason why acid-loving plants need ericaceous soil, need plenty of iron and other soil nutrients that become insoluble or locked up in the soil at a high pH, so the plants then can't absorb them. If your soil is alkaline, you may find it easier to grow such plants in pots or in tubs, or if you can do it, if it's a large enough area, sort of remove a lot of the soil that's in that zone, add in a lot of ericaceous soil, put your plants in 1 year with a nice sort of mulch of ericaceous soil that will then just be worked down by the worms. So hopefully that answers that person's query about different types of compost. So just to recap, we've got soil-based composts, we've got multi-purpose composts which are made from recycled materials, and we've got ericaceous composts. And within each of those, you will get different ones which have different formulae for seed growing, for growing on, and then for pot displays or for your borders. Just to recap again, for the soil-based, John Innes number 1 is for your seeds, John Innes number 2 is for when you pot them on, and John Innes number 3 is for your pots or for when you're adding your plants outside into your garden. Multi-purpose compost, because they are recycled materials, always advise grit or perlite just to open up that structure and allowing air to go through it as well. Hopefully that has answered queries. Crikey, we're already at 11:30, so time is flying by. Good morning. Apologies for she got waylaid by doing the pointing on a path. I'll catch up with the rest later. Brilliant time to repoint your path. Why not? The sun's gorgeous out there. Before it gets really too hot, it's a perfect time to do it. So we are welcome, Leslie. Welcome to the group. I know there are many others watching on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitter as well. Everybody, really pleased that you're enjoying this clinic and really enjoy gardening tip videos throughout the week as well. So we go on to another question, which is, I have lots of seeds in my greenhouse that I'm waiting to germinate, how would you say is the best way to water the top or place in a tray of water? Now, this was funny actually, because this actually happened after, I think Adam last week as well showed watering from below. I put in the tray into the water, and I then showed something where I was watering from above. So to answer it very quickly and very easily, either way is good. At the end of the day, water is one of the vital elements when starting plants from seed. They drown or rot and too, and they will either fail to germinate or they'll die once they do. So watering seedlings from above, I would really do this for larger seeds. So the seeds sort of are maybe half the size of a nail or even a quarter of the size of a nail. They're quite large. You push it into the soil. You can easily water from above with those sort of size seeds. And of course, you want to do it before the seeds will germinate. So a good idea is to sometimes water that pot first of all, then put your seeds on, and then if needs be, another light shower afterwards using a watering can or a handheld spray on the end of a hose. You can also use a mister to sort of gently spray the soil as well after the seeds have gone in. Obviously, that's not going to go down very far in the pot, so you just need to sort of just be mindful of that. But obviously, if you are watering from above with really delicate seeds, then you could decide the middle or around the outside. So for smaller seeds, I would above. You can knock over fragile seedlings. You've got very nicely, you water from above, and you can knock them over. So sometimes it's better then to use a spray, or again from below. Because when you do stuff from below, you're up into the soil, and it's soaked up all the way until your surface has gone moist. And you know then that the soil is completely moist and perfect for your seedlings. I'm just quickly checking over my notes here. Yeah, if you are just using a spray mister to moisten your compost, you will have to check on it more regularly because, as I say, that water is not going really deep into the soil. So you might have to just double check, make sure, again, stick your finger in. If it feels moist down below, then you're probably fine. If not, if the top of the soil is dry, then you will have. So if we are doing it from below, as I say, for the seeds, I would definitely always do it from below. I would always say it's always good practice as well to actually water it before you sow your seeds. So stick it into a tray of water, put your seed tray into it, wait until the water has been soaked up. You'll see the top of the compost sort of go sort of moist and sort of a little bit sort of silvery reflectiveness on it. You know that's then the perfect time. You lift it out of the water. You can then sow your seeds on the top. And the main thing is to make sure that those seeds have contact with the soil. And then if they're really fine seeds that sometimes don't need a lot of soil to put on the top, then horticultural grit is great to use. Just sprinkle that over the top. I know Carol Klein loves using a horticultural grit on the top. I do. It's a brilliant way of making the seeds have the contact with the soil, and also doesn't block out too much light. The seeds can grow through them. So in a nutshell, I would say for larger seeds, it's okay to water from above. So if you're sowing something like broad beans, for example, broad beans are a really good size. Pop them into your compost. You can water those from above. Once the seedlings are up, again, water just around the sides on the top should be fine until you're ready to transplant them outside. If you're growing stuff outside and you've sown directly outside, then again, water the soil before seeds, and then obviously keep checking the soil hasn't dried out. and then water accordingly. Now, of course, if you're growing in the ground, you can't do anything from below. You have to do it from above. So that's through your seedlings or your and just drip the water through, and you can put them on a timer, and you don't have to worry about things. Otherwise, you're going to have to water from the top, and just be careful of the plants, really. I mean, what you can do, if you've got a really nice sort of growing seedling, and the seedling is, say, 15 to 20 centimeters tall, like a pop bottle, chop off the small end, and then when you're watering around it, just pop that over the top of the seedling, water around it, lift it up slightly, water again around just closer to the seedling itself, remove it, move on to the next one. And that way you're protecting that poor little seedling from being battered by the winds. Sorry, not the winds, by the water. Just be a little bit mindful of how you're doing it, and think of the best way in looking after your poor little plants. So I would say either way is good, from the top or from the bottom. Smaller seeds definitely do from the bottom, larger seeds you can do from the top. The main thing is that you want to keep that soil moist for the plants to grow well. And when I say moist, I don't mean soaked. You don't want it to literally be drowning in water. It just has to be moist to the touch. That's where a lot of people go wrong sometimes. They water too much, and the poor little seedlings will just die off, or it's called damp off, and they'll just rot. So do it from the bottom or from the top, whatever choice, whatever works for you, really. As I say, for me, I use the top for larger seeds, and down below for using capillary action. People are also asking me at this time of the year, what else should we do? Well, I've got a very simple answer to that, and that is really to just take time to enjoy your garden. Obviously, I know this time of year is a very busy year, and lots of people will be sowing seeds, they'll be growing things on, everything will be going on ready for the summer. So the summer flourish will look absolutely gorgeous. But we're all cooped up, we're all sort of panicking a bit about what's going on. So sometimes just take your time, just sit back outside, just listen to the birds, sit in the sunshine, feel the breeze on your face, slow your breathing down and your drop. If you haven't got a garden, then why not just open all your doors and your windows and sit by them and look out? It's proven that even just by sitting and looking out at something green for 10 minutes a day can make all the difference. So, I mean, as many of you know, I'm in a wheelchair, and sometimes it isn't easy to always just go out on my own. So I just sit there with the front door open, and I just listen to the birds, and I let the breeze blow across my cheeks. And that is all I need, really. So don't panic if you don't have a garden. We know that things might get a bit tighter with regards to going and doing exercise and going to parks, etc. If that does happen, then, as I say, just open your doors and windows, let the breeze through, feel the sun on your skin and your face, and you will feel better for it. If you're in a bed and you can't get out, see if you can get your bed moved to be close to an open window. Believe me, it will make all the difference. I know when I was in rehab, it made all the difference for me. Yeah, I totally agree, Penny. She says, let's enjoy nature. Absolutely agree with that. Nature's all around us, no matter where we are. And, even just looking up at the blue sky will make all the difference. So this week's going to be a busy week for me. I've got some more seed sowing to be done. I'm also starting to prepare the beds outside so I can direct sow as well, now that the soil is warming up. Although, I don't know if you've noticed the weather warnings, but we are going to have cold weather come Easter Monday. So just be a little bit mindful of that. So as long as the soil is warming up, then the plant seeds will be ready to sow outdoors. We've also removed 2 very large hedges down our driveway, and it means I've now got space for 2 very long borders, which I'm really looking forward to getting my hands into. It's going to be a mixture of things like Monarda, Verbena veneriensis, Centaurea, what else in there? Lupins, dahlias, really beautiful bee-loving plants, so that the birds and the pollinators and the butterflies will absolutely love it. And it will just bring some colour down to our driveway. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's a really lovely big project for me to do. We've just added some pleached trees along this area, and I've also created some hornbeam hedging at what I would call chevrons. There's sort of an angle, and then we've got a gap, then we've got another one, then a gap, and then another one. And the idea of that is that as you drive up and down the driveway, you get glimpses through to the garden. And at some point, I will show a video. I'm going to do a video of a tour of my garden, which hopefully people will enjoy. And you'll be able to see all the different parts of it. And I can show you things like the composting bays, which I know aren't exactly the most beautiful things to look at, but they're essential really in a garden, through to the orchard, to my pergola, to my white borders, my blue and yellow borders, my herb garden, and then my long herbaceous borders. And of course, my new long borders down my driveway once they get going. Thank you, Donna. She says, good luck. I look forward to seeing the progress. Thank you very much. I know it's going to be a lot of hard work, but as you know, I love it. Phil says, hey Mark, you have a lovely and safe day. Don't forget sunscreen and a hat. Very, very good thing to mention, Phil. It's really important. I do some ambassador work for the Melanoma Fund, and it is essential for anyone who's out in the garden to wear sunscreen and ideally a hat as well. And people do forget to do this. Keep it topped up. Factor 30 is all you really need. It's a very good factor to use. In fact, the difference between factor 30 and factor 50 is almost negligible. And I learned this by working with the Melanoma Fund. So just keep on top of your sunscreen. Make sure you have it on your arms, on your shoulders if you've got them clear, on your neck, on your face. In fact, all bare skin, cover with sunscreen, and ideally wear a hat. So, Donna said she's feeling the pain. She's putting in 4 raised beds this weekend. Wow, Donna, that's going to be a task and a half. But hopefully it will be very rewarding, and you will see something really, really great at the end of it. Leslie has said she looks forward to the virtual tour of my garden and the long borders. Yep, as I say, I will be doing this tour. I'm trying to work out how I'm going to do it. I might do a GoPro camera and I might fix that to my chest, and I'll just wander around in my wheelchair as I go around, and then that way I can just natter away as I do, as you see my garden, and I can point things out. There's lots of things to see in the garden, even at this time of the year. So hopefully, to everybody, I wish you all a very, very happy Easter. Thank you very much again for tuning in. I hope I've answered all of your queries. Please remember to keep sending in your questions, and I'll be adding to them throughout the week, and also be adding some more questions for next weekend. Again, see you at 11 a.m. next Saturday. That's great time. Happy Easter to everyone. Have a great week, and see you next week. Bye-bye.